We conclude Baruch Hashem, another week of learning 5 minutes of Tefillah and B'siyata D'Shmaya. We are up to the finale, almost, of the finale of the Sefer. And he begins this section by writing, B'ne'ilas Shearim, as the gates are closing, Yoduim Divrei HaRamban. He quotes the Ramban in Igeres, and the Ramban writes the following, Ka'asher tokum min ha-sefer. When you get up from the Sefer to Chapes, you should look. Basher Lamadita. Check what you just learned in Yesh Davar. Is there something Asher Tuchal Lekaimai? You learned something. You hear a shiur. When you get up, what is your attitude? It was nice. Sounded good. That guy should have heard this. I can't wait to tell someone else. Says the Ramban, no. You get up from a sefer and you look inward. What can I do different based on what I just learned? Says Shimshon Pincus in his closing words, as he says, the gates are closing. We have to look and search. Is there something to take away? And of course, this is Shimshon Pincus writing in utmost humility as he continues that everything I wrote, it could be not everyone's going to agree with me. He says, what I wrote comes from where? From my aniyos daiti, my poor mind. Shimshon Pincus says, poor mind. And he says, it's not really sore so much, but I wrote what is pashit according to me. And he's referencing back that if we remind ourselves, the Sefer was built upon different lishonos of tefillah. And therefore he says, the ikr of that which I wrote is what I feel. My Rav Shimshon Pincus is Argashas Alev, the differences between all the different types of tefillah. But he says, you the reader, us the listener, Noim Shegat Ad Haloim, you made it to the end. You finally got there. Masha Efshar Lakachat, what could you take from this small sefer? What's the one thing? If you were to boil up all the incredible, earth-shattering ideas that we've learned, etzem ze loshevas v'litroyach, to sit and to think and to search for different explanations, different ways of inculcating all the different types of tefillah into our lives. The fine nuance of difference between Sha'ava and Sukkah and Bitzur and Rina. Says of Shimshon Pincus, the greatest thing you could do after everything that we've learned is to take a few moments and try to bring it home into your own personal life and your relationship with Hashem. And he says, without any suffix, that the skula noirav in ifla, that there's nothing greater in the practical world, is when we have a tzara, he writes, or a calamity. What do? We daven. Eze inyan that we need a daven for. Varei shaloimi emunas Yisrael. What do those with emunah do? Shoivchin tfilo tchina. They open their tilims. What does Klal Yisrael do at a time of tzara? We daven. Says Rav Shimshon Pincus, don't just daven, but rather lehishtamesh. We have to start to utilize all the different types of tefillah that we have learned about. That he says that the moment before you get up to daven, a moment of hisbaididus, stop, think for a moment. How could I take all the different types of tefillah and tell them and utilize them and approach Hashem now with all of them in the tefillah for whatever you need? And he continues and he says, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to give you a snippet, a one-line synopsis of every type of tefillah. And that's how one should daven in a time of need. So we'll just begin, and this is how we'll continue next week with the conclusion. He says, you should have a moment of bitzur. What's bitzur? You tell Hashem, I'm in a tzara right now. It's a horrible situation. This situation will affect eternity. And with that, I turn to you, Hashem. Shaiva, crying out hysterically, an inward hysterics, not an external hysterics, but an inward, deep, and passionate hysterical cry as we turn to the one entity that can help. Tza'aka, going even deeper. We can't even express. The words don't even come out. Such an unarticulated type of tefillah, as the very depth of our being is pining, is yearning, is screaming to Hashem. And he's going to continue giving us a little bit of a summary. But v'siyat d'shmaya, let's heed those words of the Ramban. That when we get out from the Sefer, let's take a moment to think. And that moment, the moment of thought, will hopefully be that which will slowly and continuously elevate our tefillah.